Tom, you have read the report along with us. It's long. It's thorough. What were your initial takeaways after reading it?
Well, the overarching view here is that this is now two consecutive world champions, 2017 and 2018, that have been disciplined by Major League Baseball, official discipline, for the misuse of technology to decode signs of opposing teams. Now, that's probably where the similarities end because the Houston situation, as you discussed, was very different. That was a player-driven scheme that continued throughout the postseason. In this case, MLB is carving out the replay room operator alone as far as being culpable in this case, and he has actually denied the wrongdoings, and that the misuse of decoding signs did not happen in the postseason. It was only during the regular season. Now, Matt, we should really clarify what they're being accused of doing, or in this case, JT Watkins, the replay room operator. He essentially had two roles. One was as the video advanced scout. His job is looking at video and trying to decode signs of what pitchers use when they come into the game, the sequence of signs. That was and is perfectly legal. Now, during a game, you cannot use any technology to get that kind of information. Now, during the game, he has a second role, and that is as the replay room operator. So he has access to real-time center field feeds during the game. Now, what the players said was there were times when JT Watkins could notice that the signs during the game were different from the ones he had scouted. Again, the scouting is legal. Picking things up during a game, illegal. And they said that's where he crossed the line. They weren't even aware of what the rule was, but they saw him change the signs they'd given them before the game. During the game, you can only do that based on the video feed. Now, again, he has denied doing that. He thinks players misunderstood his actions. JT Watkins is a former draft pick of the Boston Red Sox. He's a West Point graduate, 30 years old, played in their minor league system. He played with Rafael Devers, Andrew Benintendi, very smart baseball guy, baseball background. So he'd be able to pick up this information that he was armed with going into the game. He knew what to look for. But again, this is based on up to 11 Red Sox players saying, yes, he picked up things during the game. And JT Watkins is saying, no, I didn't. They misunderstood.
Do you think the league is aware of some of the built-in skepticism here over a lone gunman theory, that in fact it was just one guy doing this all by himself?
I think there is a level of awareness. I say that only because look at the length of this report. This is 15 pages. The Houston Astros report was 9 pages and was much more involved and involved many more people than this one does. So I think, obviously, they learned, some lessons from the Houston report where people came out and questioned some of the findings, what was included, what was not included more specifically. And I think that's why there's an effort here to be exhaustive in terms of laying out at least what they found during the course of this investigation.
Yeah, it was very thorough, at risk of being redundant, as a matter of fact. I think that the Department of Investigations wanted to make very clear their methodology, wanted to make very clear some of the questions that they asked people that they interviewed. Getting to Alex Cora and his involvement in this, and we visited with Ken Rosenthal about this very topic a moment ago, Tom. It almost seemed like the Red Sox were aware of what they had done in comparison, severity-wise, to what had happened in Houston. And when Ron Renneke was brought on very late in spring training, given the interim tag, which he still wears today, it almost feels like there's a path for Alex Cora to return to the Boston dugout after the 2020 World Series.
I think that's something we felt back in January and February when Alex was found to be culpable in the Houston scheme and then let go by the Red Sox. More so today because this report clearly states that Alex Cora did not know what the replay room operator was up to, did not know about it, did not have a hand in it. It goes out of its way to point out the fact that he was not culpable in this instance. Now, if there's a surprise here for me, it's the fact that Alex Cora was suspended through the 2020 postseason, and hopefully we do have one, which essentially is the same penalty that A.J. Hinch, the manager of the Astros, received. Now, if you remember that January 13th Houston Astros report, that report clearly indicated that Alex Cora was an active participant in the sign-stealing schemes, plural, by the Houston Astros, and that A.J. Hinch was disciplined essentially for not doing anything. In other words, he knew about it and was culpable because he didn't stop it. Now, I'm told that MLB looked at these two cases similarly in terms of the penalties because Hinch, as the manager, is in a more senior position and is held to a higher standard than a bench coach who takes an active role where the manager was an inactive participant.
So we have a firm understanding now, at least based on these two subsequent reports, of what has happened. Do we have any speculative view, any guess as to what may happen in the future to prevent this same kind of incident? Is baseball thinking about any kind of a policy change involving video replay?
Definitely. Now, of course, during this pandemic, we don't know what baseball is going to look like if we have it this year. In what ballparks? We have no idea what the technology, the hardware even, might be available to be used during the season. Let's set that aside for a second here. Right before the pandemic hit and shut down spring training, baseball and the union were very close to new protocols in terms of electronics in the 2020 season. And part of that was taking that replay room, which has really been the bane of some of this trouble going back to 2014, and almost isolating that, having a singular room where only the designated replay room operator would be in there with a major league security agent. Nobody else could go in or out of the room. I guess it's sort of like Family Feud in the final round, right? Where the guy has to go back in the secret chamber. That's what that would be like. That person literally be physically isolated. Because all of these instances with the Astros and the Red Sox, there's communication person to person going on between the replay room and active players. So the union and MLB were on board with establishing that protocol. Many other things put in place, much less live technology in the clubhouse itself during games. The logging information of pitches and games that goes on by some of the analytics people in the proper clubhouse would not be going on in the course of the game. But the big issue would be making that replay room pretty much tamper-proof by isolating it.
Well, those would all seem positive steps towards eliminating the problem, but the league is focused on bigger and much more different things in the light of the pandemic that we're all dealing with together right now. Tom Verducci with information and perspective on the Red Sox decision and subsequent discipline, as we've learned of today. Tom, thank you.